Welcome back. This is Johnny Crypto, and I'm here to help you guys become better traders. So this is going to be a beginner tutorial, but it is good for even the most versed out there, even myself. It's nice to come back to this simple stuff because truthfully, a lot of trading is basically just single candles and trend lines and patterns and things of that nature besides indicators. Try not to overcomplicate it. But how do we know what any of these mean? If we knew that, hey, this was a spinning top that potentially is a neutral deal that could just be a pause in price and boom, then we have another big swing up here. So how would we learn how to do that? Well, first off, we need to know how to read candlesticks. So here I've got a black candle, which is going to be a selling candle, a bearish candle. I've got a white candle, which is going to be a positive candle or a bullish candle. And if you were to see these on a chart, red is black, green is white. So how we read these, we'll start with the bearish one. Well, the price opens at this line right here, and it at some point during its time, whether it's a 1 minute candle or a 1 month candle, it gets to a high, but then it goes all the way down to its lowest point, but then buyers come in and ends up closing it, and the next candle opens right here. So the next candle would be opening here. On a positive or a bullish day, well, the open price is here. At some point there was selling pressure and it went down to here. Then there was buyers that came all the way to its high point, but then sellers came back in and it closed right here. If I'm going to show that on a Bitcoin chart, well, it's easier. These are weekly candles, okay? So this candle hasn't yet closed here, but we could just pick this one here for instance, okay? So here, this guy opened right up here. Open. Buyers came in, got the top of the wick. Sellers came in, got all the way down to here. Then buyers came up and boom. So if we were to see a candle like that on a closer time frame, well, here is all those candles inside of that week. Okay, so there's lots of up and down, but the biggest one ends up turning into that. So now let's go into single candles. And what are they? Well, let's start off with one of the cheat sheets that I have. Spinning tops, they are neutral. Let's find one on the Bitcoin price. Okay. So these are somewhat, you could almost call them dojis, but they're neutral candles. Here's one. Okay. Here's one. Right? This could be even considered a morning star, which has more of a bullish condensation to it because it's coming at the top of a green candle here. This is another doji candle, somewhat of a spinning top, not as big of a middle. So what are those? They've got long wicks and short bodies. Dojos are plain and simple, pretty much like have no bodies, but they're pretty close to what spinning tops look like. You could almost say that this is a doji, and you could almost say that that is a doji, but you could get away with spinning tops. Okay, here's another one, right? And this is more of a gravestone one because it is coming at the top, which has a little bit more bearish action involved. And if we look at the next one, there's another spinning top, another spinning top. So you can come to find out that, hey, if this is happening at the top of a trending market, where down here we can see by zooming out that this was somewhat of a trending uphill, that maybe it might start to retrace, but it could be just some stopping pressure as well. If we look at this here, I need to change this color so that's easier to see. White. So you start to know that these guys are neutral. So that could be a reversal or it could be nothing. And if you zoom out, you can see that the price is going upwards. So therefore, we could probably say that it's a safe bet that this is just selling pressure and sellers are exhausted. So now buyers are going to kick in the next couple days. Boom. Right. And come to find out, I'll talk more about time frames, but These have more weight the longer the time frames. If I go to the 15-minute chart and we start seeing a lot of these guys, they're not going to hold as much weight as if I'm on the daily or if I'm on the weekly. So you can see my circles here. This is what a doji looks like inside of the weekly. So here we go, weekly. On the daily, it looks like this. Lots of indecision going on here. But I'm just using the weekly because they've got the most weight to them here. So I'm going to get rid of the drawings. And let's go with our next one, right? So these massive green and black candles, Marzibozu. I just call them, like the big dick candles because there's lots of money coming into them. So here, let's look at those. That would be, boom, this one right here. That would be one right there. I would consider this one to be somewhat of one, but they've got longer wicks here. Another one, big one. These are big moves that recently just happened. And not to confuse anybody, but on the weekly here, seeing for Bitcoin, it looks like we are having a harami formation here where it is, harami means pregnant, and that is a sneak peek to the two candlestick patterns, which is very bullish. So to me, this is looking as if this is a little bit bullish. And TradingView is a free program. I've got some ads popping up on here, and you don't need to buy a subscription to be a better trader, right? In a lot of trading programs, I use quite a bit of them out there. As of right now, I'm sort of like ZoomX. I do have a link in the description because you're able to do a bunch of these chart stuff on them without needing to pay for a subscription or anything. So it's nice to have it right there on your trading platform. So bullish, long green, you can make the bet that it's probably going to continue because there's lots of buying pressure. Big red candles, you can start making the appearance that it is probably going to continue, right? Boom. Then it's going to continue. And I'll talk about support and resistance in more videos as well. Hammers. These are some of my favorite reversal candles. They come usually at the bottom of a correction. So let's try to find some of those. So a hammer candle. Well, here I can see a hammer candle right here. Boom, here's a hammer candle. And what happened after that hammer? Well, we've got one of those big dick candlesticks right after there that you have a feeling that it's probably going to continue. So if you were doing something like this, you would wait for it to close. You would open your position here and you would put your stop loss at the bottom of this sucker. Because if it does get broken out, well, this is no longer a valid hammer reversal for bullish, and more than likely price is going to go down. So let's try to find a hanging man that comes at the top of a, I would say, move. So let's look to see if we can find a hanging man here. Here is a spinning top. We see a spinning top. Okay, there looks like there's possibly nope, that is a shooting star. We'll get into that here. Here is another hammer candle. Okay, dun dun dun. Any hanging man. Hanging man are a little bit rarer to see, especially at the top of a move. Normally you'll end up seeing these shooting stars. Let me go zoom in here, because you see a lot of these wicks here that you could say, oh, this is potentially a reversal. I should possibly get out of my trade because the move is over with. Okay, so here is one inside, and this ends up being a larger doji on a larger time frame. Okay, so that's why you got to pay attention to this stuff. But right here, this has come after a substantial move. So you have a giant move up. And what is the percentage gain from something like that? Boom. Okay, that's 35%. So as soon as on the daily you start seeing this hammer Yeah, it's hanging man. Well, now you could possibly sell out of that position and take profits before it potentially can reverse. But in this case, it did not end up being a valid signal because it did not end up going down because we're in a trending market here. They are mostly bearish, but they don't always turn out to be true. So hanging mans are a little hard. Oh, just found one. Perfect. So here we go on the daily. Here, let me zoom out just a bit. So this is hanging man. What happened? Boom. We had a retrace. And how big of a retrace? So if you were to buy something down here and you sold once you saw the hanging man, that's a 9% gain. You saved yourself some money from losing 6%, potentially all of it. But if you were to zoom out, yeah, you could probably say that you could have saved and we would have ended up continuing to go upwards. Here is another one of those hammer candles. And after that hammer candle, boom. So I don't like to use hanging man as often. Some of my favorite are the hammer and the shooting star are my favorite. But let's look for now a bullish inverted hammer that also comes at the bottom of a correction. So inverted hammers and hanging mans are not as prevalent as hammers and shooting stars. So let's look at the two that I like the best for reversals on these single candlestick patterns is the hammer and the shooting star. So let's look for a shooting star at the top. Here we go, have a spinning top saying it is a neutral, potential reversal, potential bullish movement, but that didn't happen. Here is a shooting star, right? You could almost say that it's a spinning top, but at one point it was here. And to me, it's not a definite shooting star, but it is in fact pretty close here because then what happened afterwards? Boom, 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 big tank down. And then here's another one, up, then down, right? This market, you can tell it, on the 4-hour has been going down because of every time we hit a trend line here. And I will go into those, right? So let's look for some more somewhat shooting stars. Dun, dun, dun. That's a doji. Here's another one that somewhat is a doji. There we have the hammer, but then it got released. So that stop would be right there before you lose all of your money. Here's a shooting star. Here's a perfect example of a shooting star. So at the top of this guy, boom. Okay, so we opened, it went higher, and then ultimately closed, which shows that there's lots of sellers here. So then it opens and boom, 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 goes all the way down. Well, guys, make sure you subscribe because next episode we're going to go through 2 candle patterns, and then we'll go through support and resistance and trend lines, and we'll also get into trading rules, the rarer 3 pattern candlesticks, and then we'll also get into some chart formations. And this is Johnny Crypto here to help you guys become better traders.